Making money from developing property is getting harder, but there are still some developments which will pay. An unmodernised Victorian terrace in an up-and-coming area can be worth its weight in gold. This old terrace cottage in Lincolnshire could be a golden opportunity for a developer who knows what they're doing, but it's easy to get it wrong.
Who's to say your way's the right way in this area?
It's your money and your house, and you should do what you think is best. Terraced houses are in high demand and therefore easy to sell. So if you can find the right terrace in the right area, you could make a very healthy profit. Martine Follett and Teresa Edwards have struck gold. They've just bought this dilapidated terraced property with a 40-foot garden in Billingham near Lincoln. It's their first development, and I think they've chosen well. So what made you decide to buy this house here?
Because it was basically the first one that was cheap enough for us to get.
Yeah.
You're looking at about 80,000 to buy a first home, and your predominantly working areas, factory work, and it's 12,000 a year, and to get a mortgage, you can't afford an 80,000. So as soon as we saw it, it was on the internet, wasn't it? We came rushing down, put an offer in that day.
So how much did you buy it for?
35.
35,000. And what are you planning on spending modernising it?
About 11, 12,000.
What? 11?
Yeah.
Don't up it 1,000 already. Blimey.
We're going to do a lot of the work ourselves, so that will keep the costs down. So.
Yeah, because it does sound quite a small amount.
Yeah, it does, but there's no labour costs
Yeah.
in that, like Teresa said. We should be doing that ourselves. So.
Yeah.
Right. How much are you hoping to sell it for?
Well, I'm hoping about 70, hopefully.
So that's 46,000
Yes.
you'll have then spent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you sell it for 70, then you'll be making £24,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Martine and Teresa have mortgaged themselves to the hilt and put all their savings together to get the £35,000 to buy this property and the £11,000 to do it up. If they sell it for £70,000, they'll make a healthy gross profit of £24,000, but they haven't included any fees. This house has all the hallmarks of a great investment. You've actually had an offer already on the house. You've only owned it for 2 weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, from my solicitor when I went to sign the papers, he said that for the size of the property that he would offer me 50,000 for it.
And you bought it for 35?
Yes.
So you could have made £15,000 that minute?
Yeah, we could have done, but there's also that we could make a lot more.
And do you recognise that there is a possibility that you might end up making less money?
Oh, of course, yeah, but then...
by doing it than you would by selling it? So you're happy with the fact that you would have made £15,000 if you sold it 2 weeks ago, and you might make less than that after a whole load of work?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
It's experience.
You are totally nuts.
I know, we are.
In today's market, you'll be lucky to get a 20% return. But this would have been an amazing 40% on the girls' investment, and I think they should have taken it. But they're determined to renovate this property themselves. Unfortunately, their £11,000 budget is too tight. A property in this sort of state will take around £30,000 to develop. But this business venture could still be profitable. A lot of buyers are put off by the amount of work involved in an unmodernised property. So if you're prepared to take it on, modernise it, fit a proper bathroom, ideally upstairs, and a kitchen diner overlooking the garden, which in this case could be a unique selling point, then you will get a premium for your work. The size of the premium largely depends on how well you design your layout, so you should plan that carefully. So what's this room going to be then?
The kitchen.
Right.
You look puzzled.
No? I'm waiting for you to tell me how it's going to be a kitchen.
Well, we're going to have the U-shaped kitchen, and what we're going to do is remove the chimney breast there, the sink will be there, the stove will be there.
So what's happening out there then?
That's going to be torn down and we're putting a new extension up which will house a utility and bathroom.
Yeah.
Right. This 2 up, 2 down is very typical of the area. The front door opens straight onto a main reception room, which leads into a dark and poky dining area. At the back of the house is a shabby 1960s lean-to that houses both the kitchen and the only loo in the property. The girls plan to replace the lean-to with a new extension for the bathroom and utility area, and they plan to put the kitchen in the middle of the property where there are no windows. I'm not sure they've thought this out properly though, because kitchens sell houses and it's crucial to get them right. There is another option, and that's that you put a wall in here and you make this the bathroom down here, in the middle here, because it's quite a dark space with no windows.
Yeah.
And then the extension you have as a big kitchen breakfast room overlooking the garden, which will get masses of light and be a really bright light room.
What about lights in the bathroom? Because then there's going to be no windows in the bathroom.
No, but of all the rooms that can be dark, I feel that a bathroom is probably
better.
top of the list. Do you not agree?
No, not at all.
No.
This is a really bad decision. A kitchen at the back of the property with double doors leading out onto the garden would make this house feel more spacious than it is. Bathroom should go in the middle because it doesn't need to have a window as much. On their budget, I think this is the best layout.
We're going to do it the easy way, just to sell it and hopefully make a profit on it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that it will be easier. Because I think you're going to end up replastering a lot of this anyway.
Yeah,
and the place
yeah,
is
they are.
very damp.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will be.
you're doing all the plastering?
Yes.
You know you can skim the ceilings and
Yes.
they'll look great?
Yes. Well, I've never done it, but I can't be much different from the walls, can it? You're just going this way instead of that way.
Martine also plans to build stud walls, fit the new kitchen, rip down ceilings and put up new ones. And she wants to fit coving. You have to admire her commitment. I just hope she knows what she's taking on. She'll need to create a very professional finish if she wants to hit the ceiling price. A lot of amateur developers realise too late that doing the work themselves has been a false economy. But that's not the only cost-saving measure the girls have up their sleeves. Why have you got a tent in that bedroom?
That's where we're going to be staying while we're doing up the house.
You're going to be staying in the tent?
Yeah.
It's actually quite an amazingly sensible idea because it will stop all your stuff getting dusty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about living on site.
Exactly.
Is your bed's full of rubble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Upstairs there are 2 bedrooms but no bathroom. In the front bedroom there's a bidet and a sink. In the smaller back bedroom there's a shower squeezed into a cupboard, hardly ideal for modern living. And like every other house on the street, the door to the second bedroom opens straight onto the stairs. So what are you doing with the layout up here? Because you've got a back bedroom and a front bedroom.
We're going to put a wall here.
Well, a wall 2 foot coming out to about here, so the doorway actually to the spare room will be there, going in, instead of the doorway dropping into the stairs as it does at the minute.
Right, because as you open the door, there's an immediate drop. You're on the stairs, effectively.
Yeah.
That's why you're going to move it round to this side here and block up that door.
Yeah, exactly.
The girls want to move the door to the back bedroom away from the stairs. But doing this means creating a whole new corridor which eats up valuable bedroom space and is a bit of a waste of time and money. I'm not sure that it warrants changing the layout. I would agree with you. Ideally, you wouldn't have a door that opens onto the stairs, and it would never comply with building regulations currently.
Yeah.
But it's been here a long time, and it's a bit quirky. Personally, I'd leave the layout precisely as it is up here, especially considering how small your budget is.
Really? Well, that's where we can beg to differ.
Okay. Martine and Teresa also want to turn the attic into a computer room with storage space. They've allocated just £100 for the job. I think they should leave the attic and the upstairs layout alone and concentrate on making what's there look good. With their £11,000 budget, they can't afford to do much more. They've allocated £6,000 for the extension, £1,800 for other structural work, £1,050 for flooring and doors, £1,000 for new windows, £100 for the attic, just £500 for the kitchen and bathroom, £300 for the decor, £250 to tidy up the garden, giving them a total of £11,000. The girls have another £2,000 saved for emergencies, which is just as well because they decided they couldn't afford to have a building survey. The problem is, with an old dilapidated property like this, I think you can't afford not to. They're hoping that this house will be finished in just 15 weeks, and that what they lack in experience they'll be able to make up for with self-belief.
Can't be that difficult. I mean, guys do it.
Right? Hey, that's a good one.
It's true, though. It's very true. Better and faster will probably do it as well.
Yeah, probably half the time. And what we don't know, we'll find out on the way.
If I need something, I'll read the back of the packet.
Yeah.
Martine Follett and Teresa Edwards have got what thousands of first-time property developers dream of: a rundown Victorian terraced house ripe for renovation. They want to make £24,000 in just 15 weeks by doing it up. That's twice what Martine earned a year in her last job at a local pizza factory. It's an ambitious plan. They've bought a great property in an up-and-coming area, but they've no experience of developing. But like many first-timers at the start of a project, Martine and Teresa think it's easy to make money from property.
You can take a recipe book and you read the recipe, you bake the cake. It's exactly the same with houses. Fair enough, not on the structural side. I'm not about to tear down the extension and build it myself.
One thing is for sure, the girls are not afraid of hard work. Martine is planning to do as much as she can herself, and Teresa is going to manage the project.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the budget and everything in line and just keep
me working.
And keep her working.
And this budget will take some managing. For just 11 grand, they plan to fit new windows and doors, build an extension, completely rearrange upstairs and downstairs, install a new kitchen and bathroom, and turn the attic into a computer room.
You can take that stuff down with the skip.
It's not going to be easy, but their dedication is impressive. It's only day 2 and work has already come to a grinding halt. The council's not happy with their skip.
Figures. When you need the council, they're nowhere to be found, but when you don't need them, they're knocking at your doorstep.
So we're supposed to know when we order a skip that we're supposed to have a permit, and we're supposed to have cones and light it. This is first-time property development.
I didn't know that there was a permit.
I don't care if there has to be a permit required. How are we supposed to know, sweetie? You know, we didn't know.
And how does he know we don't have a permit for it?
It's the council's job to check up on these things, just as it's the project manager's job to make sure all the correct permits are in place. After a few frantic phone calls, the permit is sorted out and work can continue. Week 2 and the schedule is already slipping because the stripping out is taking longer than they'd planned. So they've decided to hire a builder to start work on the upstairs. This is an extra cost that wasn't in their budget, and I have to say, I think changing this layout is a complete waste of money. Although it's not ideal having a door opening onto the stairs, it's very common in these terraces, and it won't stop the property from selling.
I'm not happy about having a doorway here with the step. It's a death trap, I feel, and I'm glad it's gone. I wouldn't feel happy if this was, say, a nursery and the mum got up late one night, came round here, was going down to feed the baby and missed a step. Boom. I wouldn't feel happy with that at all. I can't see Sarah's suggestion at all. It made no logical sense to me at all.
Martine and Teresa aren't acting like developers. Quirky layouts are acceptable in older houses. While they've skimped on essentials like having a building survey done, they are wasting money elsewhere. I only hope this doesn't turn out to be a terrible error.
The roof is bowing a bit. You see how it goes kind of like that?
Over there?
Yeah, but it's just on that side there.
It's just probably a bit of bad workmanship when it was ever done.
That's pretty much the whole house.
Yeah.
A bow in the roof could mean very bad news, and it doesn't stop there. The builder has also noticed the chimneys need rebuilding at an extra expense of £500. And they still haven't found out why the roof is bowing. If they'd spent the money they've wasted on upstairs getting a full structural survey, they'd know exactly what was going on and what it would cost to fix. Full building surveys can seem expensive, so only 1 in 5 buyers have one done. But if you're buying an older property and are a first-time property developer, I think it's money well spent. It can also be your best bargaining tool. If the survey does show up problems, you can sometimes negotiate the asking price down. Your surveyor can advise you on the feasibility and costs of any works that you plan to do yourself. And it means you go into your development with your eyes fully open. Unlike Martine and Teresa, who are paying the price for not having one done.
We are aware that there are things in this property that we can't foresee Already we've had an extra cost on the roof, which the builder assures me isn't going to cost a lot.
It's only week 2 and they're already losing their grip on the budget.
Sarah did raise the point about she didn't think our budget was very realistic, but it would be really nice to prove her wrong. Whether I win or not is a different matter, but it would be nice to.
I really hope she can prove me wrong. And they're stepping up their efforts to get the project back on track. But Martine soon suffers another setback when a recent foot injury starts really giving her trouble.
I've got a bucket on my foot because I have a flipped up toe, big toe. The big toe had an accident at work, and unfortunately I can't wear safety boots like Teresa. So to prevent anything from going on it, I've got my foot in the bucket because this is really the only job structurally I'm doing, and it needs 2 people, so precaution. Watch out. Like that, see?
This is an extra stress. They've already spent more than they'd allocated on tradesmen, and if Martine can't do the work, then their costs will soar. I think the girls should reassess their plans for the entire development. With the schedule slipping and the budget already running over, I've come back to try and get them to change their minds. So have you decided to keep the idea of having a kitchen in the middle, or are you going to go with a bathroom and have a big kitchen breakfast room at the back?
No, we're going to keep the kitchen through there, and then the bathroom and the utility and the extension that's being built.
I just think it's not maximising the potential of this house. Maximising the potential would be to have a lovely big kitchen breakfast room at the back with big doors overlooking the garden you've got.
I've basically lived in Lincolnshire all my life, and I know what local folk want. People around here are your hard-working factory workers, construction site workers that come in a mess and say they want somewhere to kick off their boots and whatnot.
I would have thought in terms of lifestyle, they'd rather have a big kitchen breakfast room that they can sit in and overlook the garden than they would have a kitchen with no window and that's really dark in the middle of the house, and then a utility room overlooking the garden. Do you not think that it might get a premium for being more modern?
What, with having the kitchen at the back? Not at all, not in this area.
You don't?
Not at all, no.
But is this about maximising your profit?
Yes, exactly. I mean, if it was about, if I knew for a definite fact that would make us more money, I would without a doubt put the kitchen at the back.
The best possible thing you can do when you're developing a house is to take a house that suited yesterday's lifestyle and change it so it suits today's lifestyle.
Who's to say you're always the right way in this area? Who's to say that if we used to do it like that? I know exactly.
My foot is down. We're doing it the way we're going to do it. If you're not convinced and you have questions about what Sarah's saying, we'll speak later and I'll convince you. There's no reason for us to do it Sarah's way.
It's your money and your house, and you should do what you think is best.
And we will, and it is best.
Yeah, I think it's best, yes.
We think. We know.
They couldn't be more wrong. Martine and Teresa simply haven't researched their market well enough. Only 20 miles from Lincoln, Billinghayes is an ideal commuting village for the masses of young professionals who work in the city.
We're finding a lot of younger buyers coming out to the villages. There are a lot of younger buyers coming from down the south, purchasing properties in the area to get to areas like Lincoln and Sleaford.
These buyers will pay a premium for modern, up-to-date layouts, and if Martine and Teresa won't cater for them, there are plenty of professional developers who will. It pays to snoop around before you plan your development. Talk to local builders, architects and estate agents and find out what layouts are in demand. These houses just down the road are all being built with kitchens at the back overlooking the gardens. Another good strategy is to copy layouts of similar houses in more expensive neighbouring areas. That way your property will appeal to buyers who want to live there but can't afford to. Terraced houses sell well because they appeal to both young professionals and families. So you should make sure your layout has the right appeal for both of these markets. And when you've plundered ideas from everyone else, identify the unique selling point of your property and make sure you make the most of it. In Martine and Teresa's case, it's the garden, which with their layout you'll barely see from inside. Back at the development, the girls are 5 weeks in and things have taken a turn for the worse. Martine's foot is so bad she's been forced to stop work.
I didn't realise my foot would hinder me as much because I can only wear flip-flops. And making sure that it's safe and out of the way of anything dropping on it, I hadn't really thought about that as much as I probably should have done.
This is a setback their schedule didn't need.
You just take each day as it comes and expect the unexpected.
Taking those out.
Martine and Teresa desperately need to get this development in hand.
You pop that up. There you go. You got that straight out. Job's a good one. Yeah. Watch the pipes. Cool. There you go. After you, ladies.
So, your roles have kind of changed a bit, haven't they, on site?
Yeah. So.
Martine, you were going to do most of the work and it's ended up with Teresa doing the work.
Luckily.
Is that because of your foot?
That's because of my foot. I'm not able to do a lot of the work that I hoped I'd be doing.
Right.
Which is very frustrating, but there's not really a lot else I can do about it.
No. Even if you're intending to do the work yourself, it's crucial to include enough in your budget in case things go wrong. The girls didn't, and they're paying the price. And the great British climate is about to make things even more difficult.
Breakfast time. Breakfast. Bacon.
Living in a building site during the winter months can be hell on earth. But the girls are determined to put on a brave face.
Yeah, every morning is the same. I get up and I come down and I cook breakfast, and usually Martine, she gets the fire going.
Martine's parents provide a welcome break from the old routine.
Hi, Martine. Hello. Hey, how you doing? What do you think?
It's fantastic.
I think it's awful.
It's shocking.
I can't believe that her and Teresa are actually living in it. I just cannot believe it.
I mean, I was actually frightened to go up in the loft because there were any bats up there, you know.
And I can't believe you're sleeping in this tent.
What? Well, would you rather I put a bed on the actual floorboards?
Oh, no. I mean, the thought of them living in a tent, I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Living on site seems a good idea in theory because it saves you money on rent. But in practice, it will slow you down. Even just keeping it habitable is a very time-consuming business.
I think what's holding it up more than anything is I don't think we appreciated how much cleaning we would need to do at the end of each day to live in it.
6 weeks in, their 15-week schedule looks increasingly unachievable. And they're about to embark upon another ill-conceived idea, turning the attic into a computer-cum-storage room. Well-converted lofts can add considerable value to your property, up to £2 for every £1 you spend. That's a potential 100% return on your investment. Many homeowners don't want the disruption of converting themselves, so for a developer it's a good way of earning a premium, but it's not cheap to do. A professional loft conversion will set you back around £20,000. Even if you do decide to do the work yourself, you can't turn a loft into a habitable space without complying with current building regulations. But Martine and Teresa continue the work anyway. They're still convinced they can do up their attic for only £100.
This is a relief to get this cleared out. It's a relief to get this carpet out because it stinks.
Carpets, wallpaper and PowerPoints are evidence that it's been used as a room before. And the roof ties seem to have been cut through to create more space, which is part of the reason for the bowing roof. But the girls carry on regardless, and they continue to deck out the attic with tongue and groove. Until a routine visit from the building inspector stops work in its tracks.
Well, I don't think you'll be able to convert that to habitable space. It looks as though the main structural part of the roof's been cut through. It's been converted in the past and used for what appears to be habitable use. It's never had any building regulation application in for it, and it's a death trap really. You couldn't get it to comply with the building regulations.
How about if I put cross supports in there?
Well, yeah, it's not so much the supports as well. I mean, they've cut through the main roof supports. Who's ever had it before, and they'll have to be replaced. You might need some engineers' sort of advice on if it needs additional strengthening as well, where you've cut it through.
It was advertised to me as an attic room. I bought it on the purpose that I could use it as an attic room because there were sockets up there and it was plasterboarded out.
Yeah, I don't think you could get it to comply with means of escape for fire.
This is a massive blow for the girls. They were banking on having an attic room that would add value to the property. It's beginning to look like this development is jinxed. This 2 up, 2 down in Lincolnshire seems to be getting the better of Martine Follett and Teresa Edwards. They set aside £11,000 and 15 weeks to do it up, but both their budget and their schedule are out the window. They've also noticed a worrying bow in the roof. They're 8 weeks in and their only real achievement has been to rearrange the upstairs. But now they're embarking on the biggest job in the whole development, knocking down the lean-to and replacing it with a brand new extension. Martine's injured foot is improving, but there's still not that much she can do. This means that most of the hard work falls on Teresa's shoulders. But it's a big job for one person, and when the plumbers turn up to take out the old loo and kitchen, it's not long before they're roped into helping the damsels in distress.
That's a big relief. It's like a big weight lifted off my shoulders. It's huge. It's good to get it down. It feels like things are finally moving on. And to see Teresa getting a hand in it as well was really good. I'm just sorry that I can't do it as well.
It's very stress relieving, you know. You get mad or whatever, you just pick up your sledgehammer and knock it off.
And they'll need stress relief. The only loo and sink are on the skip, and it's likely to be weeks before new ones are installed.
We'll have a hookup through in here, a temporary one for water, hot and cold water, with a bucket for washing up and getting water for drinking wise and washing wise. And as for the bathroom, we're just lucky that we've got really good neighbours.
If it weren't for these guys, I think we'd still be...
You're not kidding. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, I know.
But you don't get a cup of tea till you finish, so you better kick on.
It's becoming clear the girls are going to need more help from tradesmen than they first thought. And they won't be able to blag favours like this long term. It's bad news for their budget, which is already thousands of pounds over.
I was supposed to already have seen somebody by now. My foot was supposed to be fixed and in a shoe, but unfortunately it's not, so obviously the budget's going to rise because I'm going to have to get people in like Jason and John to do extra stuff and to help me out.
What's he doing?
Stuff that we need.
Oh, yeah.
They help out with more than just the demolition and are hired for more work, this time in the attic. Martine and Teresa were told that they needed to get a structural engineer to investigate it because the ties had been cut through. But they decided to ignore that advice and ask their builder instead. This is definitely somewhere where shortcuts are a bad idea.
Did you see the cross beams in the attic? How we just hacked them off.
That can cause roof to
I know,
spread.
and also it puts all the weight on the house.
So it wants what they call triangulating.
And do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Jason, you top down.
We'll probably get you to do that then.
I basically want Jason to put supports in on the attic so that we can advertise that as a posh loft. You know, instead of just chuck boxes up there, I want to show it, because otherwise it takes a big chunk out of the profit.
Martine and Teresa should not get any work done here until they've had a structural engineer's report. Although the builder is acting in good faith, it may not be the right course of action. If they'd had a building survey before they bought, they may have been able to negotiate a lower price and they wouldn't be in this position now, but they don't agree.
I think we saved ourselves probably the couple £100 that it would cost to have them come in and do the full structural survey. So we're just paying for, you know, the repairs in the attic and not the repairs and the survey. So
the girls have now been without a loo and kitchen for over a week, but with the old lean-to demolished, they can start building the extension. They've been quoted £6,000, which I think is a real bargain. But more bad luck with the weather and suppliers means it overruns by 2 weeks. 2 more weeks with no bath, no sink, and no loo.
I'm starting to feel the pressure, and I'm starting to feel very tense, and I just want things done. Very emotional.
Is a good word.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, the new extension is up. They're now 5 weeks behind schedule, but although they might not be in the mood to hear it, this really is the last chance to change their minds about the layout. And this is the kitchen. It's quite dark, I have to say.
But it's not decorated yet.
No. I'm going to be really honest, I actually don't like it. But it is getting there.
Definitely, yeah. Working hard for
Are
me.
you pleased with the layout now?
Yeah,
We're pleased, yeah. Well, until you came in here and said you didn't like it, but hey.
But you can see how light and bright it is in there at the moment, and that would be how bright and light the kitchen would be.
I want to make sure it sells, and to make sure it sells, the bathroom's at the back.
Can I just say that the layout is how it is now? So can we end this conversation?
I think Martine and Teresa are going to have to work very hard to turn this into an inviting kitchen. They had planned to renovate the old cupboards, but I think they need to invest a bit more if they're going to make the most of this small, dark space. You see, that's actually very appropriate for your development. I mean, it's not particularly wild or exciting, but the only thing is you do want to think about the lighting and use reflective surfaces as much as possible, because that will bounce the light around the room. And for instance, this one here, which is too modern for your house, but it does have a great sense of light and is very good for a small space. Yeah. There's elements of it that you can take away and use on your kitchen which would benefit it. Having the reflective surfaces of the stainless steel does bounce the light around. If you notice that the units are also reflective, so again bouncing the light back.
Yeah.
So we want to try and incorporate as many reflective surfaces as possible.
And the other thing is clever storage can solve a whole host of problems with a small kitchen. It's a really clever one over here. Now this is an awkward little space which normally wouldn't be used. They've actually used this tiny bit of space, which in a small kitchen every single inch counts.
I agree.
And by having the trays, instead of having things right at the back of the shelves, you pull them out and you can use them. So it's a really good way of maximising the use of the space here.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some other clever ones over here, actually. Now, this is another really good solution for storage, because the proportions of the doors are higher rather than wider, and they open like this. You've still got great storage space inside, but because the way the doors open,
it's giving you the sense
gives you a sense of height.
Yeah, I do like this kitchen a lot.
Buying a kitchen can be a daunting prospect, and the first decision you need to make is how much to spend. Some people use a guide like spending 10% of the value of your house, but I don't think it's wise to necessarily set a percentage. Your kitchen is a priority, but not as important as making sure your property is structurally sound and sorting out any problems with the roof or any damp, for example. So don't splash out until you've worked your budget through. And remember, kitchens aren't just about units. You need to budget for lighting, white goods and accessories which will help to create a look that will sell. Shop around before you buy. The average spend on a kitchen is around £2,000, but whatever you spend, never lose sight of your profit margin or who you're marketing to. Back on site, the girls are hoping that they can start to decorate. But first they need to get the work signed off by the building inspector, as it may well be difficult to sell the house if it's not.
They've added additional steels from the rafters down to the ceiling joists, but that's not taking the weight of the roof. It's not following any design, it's just what a builder's come up with as a remedial action.
So, how's it look? It's not good.
No. Well, I can't actually fathom out what he's actually trying to do there, because it's not supporting the roof in any way. The deflection of the roof's increasing, and I mean, you really should seek professional advice on it.
All we basically want to do is make it look pretty and as it's storage. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want no electrical points, just a light, which there'll be a switch down here for it, so people can get up there and turn the light on and put a box up, come back down.
You shouldn't fully board it and board the roof and everything else, because although it might look pretty, it could be perceived as a room.
Yeah.
And that, at the end of the day, is what causes the problem.
Yet again, the girls have wasted time and money trying to cut corners instead of getting the right person for the job. And it's not only the attic they got wrong. The building inspector sees something else he had cautioned Martine and Teresa about before.
Right, while I'm on it, you know what I was saying about your windows? Yeah. Having escape windows, and that don't comply with escape.
You're joking!
What you should have is any opening, it should have a clear opening, a minimum dimension of 450mm.
But you're saying it has to be that so somebody can get out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I can get out that window.
I know.
Yeah, I know, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
And what he's saying as well, it's also as well, because it's not our fault.
Where they actually came about was the size is actually based on the minimum size that a fire officer can gain access to the property with breathing apparatus on.
This is another blow for the girls. Because of their open plan layout downstairs, these windows need to be big enough to qualify as a fire escape. They aren't, so they will have to go. It would have saved Martine and Teresa a lot of time if they had checked before they were fitted. The girls have the windows replaced, but it's another setback they don't need. They're 6 weeks behind schedule and they need to get back on track. What's the main reason that you're so behind? Because you were going to do this whole project in 15 weeks. We're now at 21 weeks, and there's a hell of a lot to do.
Stress.
Yes.
We didn't realise there was so much to take into consideration. It's been one big... It started off like a dream and it was great fun, and now it's turned into the worst nightmare. Because of the stress that I feel we're under, it causes a lot of arguments between Teresa and myself. Teresa's been sat in the travel agents booking a ticket to go back to the States. It's been quite bad.
Yeah.
Because we both want the house finished and we want out of here.
Would you like to just be able to walk away from it?
I'd love to, but we can't.
I don't care if it takes us 7 months, 8 months, because we're going to finish this house, and that's all that matters.
And do you think they're going to make a profit?
Yes.
I know we'll make a profit.
And I know the first person that walks in here will buy it.
The girls are now on the home stretch, and they really need to keep motivated.
I'm coving queen and plastering princess. Look at that.
The last stage of the development can be the most difficult, but in a buyer's market, it's imperative they get the finishes right, but it's very slow going.
You suffer with it because you live, eat, breathe the house and you work in the house, and you tend to feel like, my God, is there anything in this world apart from this house? How far behind schedule do you think we are, Teresa? About 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
You have to admit, it's pretty bloody good, isn't it?
And with the property coming together, they can finally relax again.
Mentally, I've lost it.
Don't do that.
No, hopefully we should be finished in about 2 or 3 weeks, so we're looking forward to that.
And when the new kitchen arrives, it finally feels like the end is in sight.
I think it's great. 5 months without a kitchen, I think that it would do anybody's head in.
It's modern and bright, but it's come at a price. At £1,200, it's nearly £1,000 over what they'd allocated. And by the time they've hung the doors, finished the tongue and groove and painted the house, their decor bill triples from £300 to £1,000. The question is, after 6 months of hard graft living on a building site, will it all have been worth it?
No, you wouldn't want to be in here all day. There's no window.
No.
Every first-time development is a steep learning curve, but this one has been like Mount Everest. But where others may have faltered, Martine and Teresa have soldiered on, determined to see it through. And they finally completed renovations on this two-bedroom property in Lincolnshire. They've transformed the two-up, two-down terrace from a dilapidated rundown cottage into a modern, stylish home.
We never thought this day had come.
No.
Ever.
No.
But it has, and we made it so.
That's all that matters, yeah.
It's been a 6-month-long project, but it finally seems worth it. The house is now ready to go, and it's a splendid transformation.
It still amazes me to think that we did it. It still blows me away, knowing that this is what we've done.
This house has our blood.
Sweat and tears.
Definitely.
Putting the kitchen in the middle was a bad call. But the finish is perfect for the market, contemporary and modern, even though it lacks natural light. At the back of the house, where the kitchen should be, they've got a bright and spacious bathroom and utility area overlooking the house's unique selling point, the garden. It does look lovely, the kitchen. There's no doubt it looks lovely, but do you ever, now it's finished and you're using it, think, oh, I wish I could see the garden?
No. I just say if you want to see the garden, come stand here.
Upstairs has also undergone a complete transformation, but at a cost. They spent £1,000 changing the layout, moving the door to the back bedroom and building a new corridor. Although they have redecorated them nicely, I think they would have been better off leaving the layout exactly as it was. The layout is a better layout, it's just a more expensive layout. And I just wonder really whether the house is worth more because of this layout or whether it would be worth the same amount with the old layout.
I would still do exactly the same that we've done.
Yeah.
The only different thing we would do is in the attic is to make sure we'd got a structural survey done.
And in the attic, they finally did get professional advice and had new supports fitted in the roof. They wasted a lot of time and money up here, and they can still only use it as basic storage. This is looking absolutely fantastic. Are you pleased it's all over?
Absolutely.
Definitely. I'm
relieved. Very relieved. It's been, I mean, I'm not one for roller coasters at all, and this has been an emotional roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And very stressful.
Now, you were originally going to spend £11,000 doing this project. How much did you end up spending? Do you know?
I'm sure we've gone over, but no.
You've actually spent £26,000. How did you go so over? That's over double what you were expecting.
Naivety. Doing the work yourself, it takes a lot of time. And the extra costs involved with, we should have got a structural engineering, well, a structural survey for the attic. My foot was a big
issue.
And that's a lot of the reason, is it?
Well, not all of the reason. And like I say, I do have expensive taste, and I like what I like. You know, Martina's the same. You know.
But this is a development, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a development. But I mean, you have to spend money to make money. I've said that before.
And spend money they certainly did. The extension went up from £6,000 to £7,000. Structural changes went up to £2,400. Flooring and doors doubled to £2,300. The windows nearly tripled at £2,600. The attic spiralled from 100 to 1,000. The kitchen and bathroom went from £500 to £2,200. Decor more than tripled from £300 to £1,000. Doing up the garden went from £250 to £400. Plumbing and electrics weren't even in their budget and cost £2,600. Fees and mortgage payments were £4,500. In total, their £11,000 budget has rocketed to £26,000. This is a massive overspend, but they were totally naive with their original budget. Right at the beginning of this project, you were offered £50,000 for it, which would have given you £15,000 profit, and you decided not to take that. Do you regret that decision at all?
Not at all.
No, not at all.
No.
Just because you hope to make more profit, or because of the experience?
Because the experience.
Both, really,
Yeah.
because we hope to make more profit and what we've learned.
They were originally hoping the house would be worth £70,000, but with their massive overspend, they now need more.
Right, okay. Certainly a nice sort of warm feel about the place.
A really nice contemporary kitchen.
The layout would have been more successful to keep the kitchen at the rear.
Certainly made the best of what they've got. And people, certainly smaller families, say they prefer to have the utility area.
Not the biggest of bedrooms, but well laid out again. Love the folding door.
Not sure about those doors.
Plenty of storage space, that'll be popular with people.
A nice sized garden as well.
Generally, the whole property's been finished to a good standard.
It's ideally suited to either first-time buyers or investment buyers because there's nothing left to do.
The value of the property is going to be in the range of 90,000 and should be priced at 89,950 to entice more people round.
I would value this house between 85 and 90,000.
I value the property at 91,950.
Considering the girls were originally hoping to sell for £70,000, this is great news. If you did manage to sell it at 90,000, say, which is kind of an average of the three, you'd make a £29,000 profit from this project, which is
not bad.
A brilliant return. That's fantastic. But the bad news is that most of the profit came from the rise in property prices, not all their hard work. Now, an unmodernised house, as this was when you bought it, would now be worth £60,000, and you bought this for £35,000. So actually, you would have made a £25,000 profit just from the investment in this house. So considering that you made a £29,000 profit from refurbishing it, you actually only made £4,000 for all the work. Was that worth it?
Of course it's got to be worth it, otherwise you'd be like that. What a waste of time.
It was worth it for me, definitely, because I learnt so much. I mean, I came in here just knowing how to paint, basically, and now I know how to do loads of things, and I'll always be able to take that with me. So
you have been very lucky. You happen to pick part of the country that is still rising in value, because some areas haven't risen. But just how lucky they are depends on what someone's prepared to pay for the house.
very nice.
This is cramped,
isn't it? Yeah, a bit small.
Not what you want.
No.
I think they try to get a bit too much in here.
You wouldn't want to be in here all day, there's no window.
Utility. That's what you want.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
I kind of brought this into the kitchen now, eh?
Yeah.
Got it all as one.
Laundry area, away from the kitchen, that's nice.
It's a bit of a passageway, isn't it?
It is, but it gives you workspace, doesn't it? With
So
your
that could
clothes
be the kitchen
washing machine.
instead.
Wow, this is a small room.
It's small.
It's a nice sized room for the little one.
I'm not sure about the door.
No, I'm not sure. It's not very private, is it?
It looks good on first impression when you walk in. It looks really good. It's a nice property.
Possibly the kitchen is probably in the wrong place in the house, I would think. I think on a personal thing, I would put it at this end of the house rather than in the middle of the house.
The bathroom's beautiful, but it would be nice to actually have maybe a loo upstairs, but I'm quite pleased with what I've seen overall.
Now that this enormous project is over, what does the future hold to you now?
Log cabin in the States.
Still heading for that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And we'll do it as well.
Yeah.
The last 6 months have pushed Martine and Teresa to the limits, both emotionally and physically. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. But luckily the market's been on their side, and so their dream of a log cabin in America might just come true. The girls decided to market the house at a rather ambitious £108,000, but eventually sold it for a more reasonable £95,000. Next week I'm in North London, where a young couple are having big problems with a small cottage. I personally don't think that this fireplace adds anything to this cottage.
We think we can turn this into something that's really nice.
If somebody said, what's the biggest problem with this house, I'd say this.